Hello, 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 everybody. How are you this evening? I'm just jumping on here to share what's occurring to me this evening, thinking about the way that our mind works and how it struggles in the days and times we live in. We are born into a modern world. We are born into a world that uses the idea of fault and blame, good and bad, right and wrong. It's very dualistic thinking. It's very black and white. And our brain is built for survival. Our brain is designed to keep us alive from a long time ago. So our brain wants us to sit in the cave and avoid the predators and not take risks so that we can continue the gene pool and the species will survive. And now that we have kind of taken care of some of the major predators and we don't have to fight the barbarians coming over the hill or the saber-toothed tigers or whatever prehistoric creature you might imagine that our ancestors had to deal with, we have this brain that continually tries to defeat those predators that are no longer here. So it turns more benign threats or perceived threats into big threats. And as a result, it's going to go to work trying to keep us safe, which means it's going to make us risk averse and not allow us to participate fully in the domain of possibility for our life. And we have a lot of repetitive thinking. Studies show that the vast majority of our thoughts are repetitive. And the thoughts that we think seem accurate, and we don't even know we're thinking. We just perceive that we are doing life, and the chatter in our head is serving us. And the fact of the matter is, it's really kind of a subscription download that we kind of inherited through our upbringing, our family of origin, our community, our socialization, our friends, our culture, our religion, whatever those major influences were in our world, kind of installed a lot of the thought models that we work from. And there isn't anything necessarily wrong with that. It just kind of limits what's possible for us. So I wanted to jump on and share that if you do nothing else this year except take a look at what it is you think when a situation occurs, if you can catch it. I mean, we think so quickly. The rapidity of thought fools us into thinking that we're not necessarily thinking, we're just accurately perceiving the world. We are thinking the world. We are not experiencing the world. We are thinking the world. Y'all, when something happens, when there's a situation or a circumstance, you think it. You perceive it through your thought process and what you say to yourself about it. So you create the experience out of what you say about what has happened. That does not mean you are right. However, you are always right, because what you think and perceive creates your reality. And what I'm offering you is to consider that you can think your world differently and have a completely different experience of life. Life will shift completely. Nothing exists outside of what you say about it. A good friend of mine jumped on one of my lives and she commented about the shoulds that are out there, and how social media is kind of pushing forward this kind of narrative about how we should live, what our life should look like, what we should look like, what we should be wearing, what we should be doing, what car we should be driving, and all these shoulds, right? And we're shoulding all over ourselves everywhere. And the fact of the matter is, these are subscriptions that you don't have to take. Do y'all get those free magazines in the mail and you're like, I didn't sign up for this? My daughter started getting Glamour magazine. She's in college. She's like, I didn't subscribe to that. I don't know how we get this stuff. Well, it's the same thing with our thought process. We run into mental models and thought patterns through our exposure in our upbringing and in our young life, and we adopt these mental models, and then we just never update them. And we never actually own them. We just subscribe to them. And that's okay, as long as you're willing to own it and embrace it and choose it consciously. But that's not what we're doing. We're simply perceiving the world through old thoughts that have been handed down through millennia, that are there to help us survive, which is great. I mean, as long as we're here, we want to stay here and do the best we can, and to be here as long as we can so we can contribute. However, consider that the thoughts you're thinking are simply that. It's chatter in your head. It's probably old. You probably didn't create it. And if it's not serving the life you want to have for yourself, or if it's not being contribution to the others in your world, you don't have to hang on to it. You can think differently. And that's what's so amazing about the power of the mind. There's a lot of unconscious action that's going on, a lot of unconscious activity that we don't have a lot of control over, but my goodness, we do get to maintain control over our brain. And it's not easy, because we've been doing it for a long time, and we've been thinking this way for a long time, and we don't think that we're thinking. We just think that we're properly perceiving the world. Habits, y'all. It's habits. So our life appears the same over time for that very reason, because we live it the same every day through mental models and thought processes that we've had for a long, long time. Just consider the possibility that I can think life differently. It's really all I have. Leave a comment. Let me know where you were here. If you're here on replay, let me know you were here. Let's start a conversation. I mean, that's what this Facebook platform is for. Peace, y'all. Have a good night.